The absolute coolest of Jeff Kaplan's presented us with a developer update for Overwatch yesterday to usher in a new patch as well as a new mini event for today, which is live in the game right now. But all of that pales in comparison to the importance of Jeff finally shaving his quarantine beard, as well as showing off his belated Halloween costume as the living embodiment of the sunglasses shades emoji. I believe it was Symmetra who started the Twitter trend that spurred the Overwatch community into a frenzy to use the cool Jeff Kaplan image as their avatar. J3 burned Symmetra, saying that girls might actually talk to you now with this new profile pic. Afterward, over half of the Overwatch League team's official Twitter accounts changed their avatar to the profile as well. Yes, we are spending this many minutes on this meme. I do think this is the most important bit in today's video. Nathan asked the Overwatch community manager Molly if this now historic image could be used as a player icon in Overwatch 2, a move that I think possibly could shatter microtransaction DLC sales records. Okay, on to the serious stuff. In the developer update itself, Jeff explained that a new PTR will be coming that's going to be instituting a new priority queue called Priority Pass, which essentially is the flex queue or filling queue incentive system that many of us had asked for quite some time. Jeff explains that if you queue for flex and win the game you get into, you'll be getting more priority passes. You'll still get some if you lose, but you'll get more if you win, which sort of solves the problem of players opting into this service in order to just throw to get a faster DPS queue. And then you can save priority passes in order to use on getting an earlier spot in the queue line when you are faced with an impacted role, which typically is DPS, but depending on the SR and MMR you are, it can fluctuate. He stated in the dev update that you'll be able to store up to 40 of these, which I think sounds like an outrageous number. And I guess we're just gonna have to see how it works when the mass player base gets their hands on it. I, for one, love playing all the roles anyway, so yeah, sign me right up. We can imagine that it would work very similar to how it does when you get priority queue status after backfilling a game in quick play or when a match disbands in competitive, which is a system I'm pretty happy about, and this sort of just adds to that. Priority pass system will be coming to the PTR soon. Need to get worked on and iterated to get the bugs out before we see it into the live game, so maybe a few weeks on that. Jeff wasn't too specific. Alongside the priority pass system is also a host of improvements to the replay system, which mostly affects content creators, but as well will give you at home more control when you're digging into replays. I think for a casual user, the replay system mostly is to check to see if a player was hacking or to see what the heck your team was doing in that team fight you thought you shouldn't have lost. But for creators like myself, the long list of improvements I am definitely looking forward to and should buff Overwatch content. Otherwise, the mini event is now live for Symmetra, where you can win 9 games in Overwatch as well as watch Overwatch Twitch streams in order to gain drops for cosmetic items. We've been through this song and dance before. I'm not too thrilled with this Symmetra skin. It's kind of low-key and looks similar to ones she already had, so I could take this one or leave it. I have yet to dig into the new short story. Let us know in the comment section below what you think of it. When I get a moment, I will be checking it out. Now, I know a lot of you were probably interested if the experimental card that went into live last week would have gone live with this patch today. That has not happened, but instead, the patch that did go through was that older set of Baptiste and Lucio buffs that didn't make it to the live game. Now, Baptiste has a massive amplification matrix. Players in the community are calling this the garage door buff. I'm a big fan of calling this the 1080p window, widescreen edition. Quite a big buff to Baptiste, but I still don't think it's better than his immortality field ability, and it'll definitely make this ult more useful, but it's not the thing that scares me the most about Baptiste. It's even harder to engage into this thing because a Baptiste or his team can swivel around it more easily and still get its use, so you definitely have to respect it more. Next up, the Lucio change, where by default you will now perform his wall jump boost immediately after leaving the wall without requiring a second well-timed Lucio jump press. This is a setting called wall jump on release, and I would say don't sleep on this Lucio buff for the average level of play. I don't think it changes too much at higher tier Lucio play that already could perform this mechanic reliably, but I think this just makes Lucio's zippy movement a little bit more reliable reliable for most ranks that maybe don't spend the number of hours grinding the game to be able to master every little mechanic. This eases that along for a lot of players. So my hope is the mass player base can kind of grow accustomed to the power of using Lucio for team play, which is incredibly powerful when it does get utilized well. The experimental card changes that were tested last week, though, are not included in this patch. So the Brig revert that puts her health back down to 200 total that was planned in the revert has not shown up in this patch. I did reach out to Blizzard to ask if and when we can expect any of the experimental changes to go through. They get really touchy about promising things in case there's technical problems and don't want to let the community down, but I did get confirmation that we can expect the changes that they have decided on. It's still slightly up in the air which ones will be definitively going through, but we can expect those to be put to live this week, perhaps Thursday. I do know not everything from that is going through, and we'll just wait till then for them to make a public statement on how they want to word it, and we'll cover it at that time. But I would expect the Brig nerf to go through, which I know is quite a controversial decision, something that I think deserves its own standalone video to discuss, because the problem with Brig and the approach that Blizzard has gone down so far is that so much of her value begins to be actualized at higher tiers of support play. So the road that they're going, where they just give base flat buffs that affects all levels of play, gives her a flat buff, making her oppressive for higher tiers and still kind of mediocre at tiers where she's not being actualized, right? There's like a pretty harsh gate of how the spacing, timing, and positioning and fluidity of the game of Overwatch gets played, that if you're not that level of player, Brig feels not very impactful in your hands until you learn all that game knowledge that makes her the oppressive character that she can be, even up against some of the most skilled players in the world. So because of this, what I want to do is put together a discussion video for how Blizzard could solve that problem, because as it stands now, I would say the effect Brigitte has is almost the reverse of what Moira has, which is to say, Moira, based on her easy to pick up mechanics, is more forgiving for lower tiers, but begins to drop off the higher you go. Brig is the exact opposite, where once you reach that skill gate, you unlock this super-powered character when she's buffed to be oppressive. In order for Blizzard to fix this and make her more approachable rather than a character that gets unlocked to oppressive degrees once you get to the right level of gameplay, they'll have to reorganize how they approach the character. But I'm gonna think about that a little bit more and then get back to you guys. Last bit of news, with this new patch as well came the workshop updates, which added all sorts of color and button options and lots of other doodads that workshop creators have been busy trying to utilize in their workshop mods. I've still been compiling some of the best workshop game modes, so if you find one that you think is particularly great, but also not so well known, be sure to hit me up with a tweet at Your Overwatch YT. Otherwise, that's it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out, lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and sure to hit the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter. Come say hi to us on there. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for Your Overwatch. We'll see you guys next time.